We continue our offseason coverage of the Green Bay Packers by grading the performances of the linebackers and safeties in 2022. The same grading system will apply, with A being incredibly good, B being above average, C being average, D being disappointing, and F being why the heck are you still on the team? So let's go ahead and dive right in with our linebackers. We are going to begin this countdown with the Packers' first pick in the 2022 NFL Draft in the linebacker out of Georgia, Quay Walker, who had a solid rookie season filled with the typical highs and lows that you expect out of a rookie. There are times where his athleticism and pure talent were on full display, and there are times like in both the Buffalo and the second Detroit game where his emotions got the better of him and got ejected for pushing away training staff. But there is a bright future with Walker, as he has proven to be very athletic, very fast, very instinctual in run defense, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in the future. For his stats, he finished with 121 total tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, which is really good, and 1 fumble recovery. A pretty solid season that he can build on in the future. He just needs to work a little bit more on his emotional maturity. Overall, for me, he is getting a grade of B for a really good rookie season. Next up, we have the veteran pass rusher Preston Smith, who had another solid season similar to his 2021 campaign. He was a solid pass rusher, especially when he was opposite of Rashawn Gary, who took a lot of double teams away from Smith as a primary edge, and a solid run stopper as well, and a veteran leader for this defense. He finished the season with 59 total tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 20 quarterback hits, 8.5 sacks, and a forced fumble. Another solid season for Smith, and I'm happy he's going to be on the Packers again next year, as he does provide good, solid play for this defense, and I'm giving him a grade of B- for this season. Next up is the second-year pro out of Boston College, Isaiah McDuffie, who started the year primarily as a special teams player, but as the season went on, he started to get a little bit more playing time on defense, appearing in 17% of defensive snaps after not appearing in any as a rookie. And combined in both defensive snaps and special teams, he finished with a total of 43 tackles in 17 games with 1 start, and he also had a fumble recovery in that season as well. An interesting prospect going into the future as our third linebacker behind both Devondre Campbell and Quay Walker, and someone you might want to keep an eye on in the future as his play has been improving. But I'm going to give him a grade of C for the season, as he was just about average in his special teams coverage and when he was in play. A late season pickup by the Packers after Justin Hollins was released by the Rams, who actually turned out to be a very solid addition to our edge rushing group as our 4th one. He appeared in only 6 games for the Packers, but in those 6 games, he played 37% of the defensive snaps, primarily being a pass rusher, where he was good at. And in his time with the Packers, well, the stats you see on screen are for an entire year. With the Packers, he finished with 9 total tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 4 quarterback hits, and 2.5 sacks in his very limited playing time. And I would like to see him back as a 4th edge in our rotation, as I think he played pretty well in his small time with the Packers. And overall, I'm giving his time with the Packers a grade of C+. Rashawn Gary was on an absolute tear this season, putting up a potential all-pro campaign, or Pro Bowl, at least Pro Bowl level, before he tore up his knee in the 10th game of the season in Detroit, which absolutely showed how important he is to this defense, as our pass rush basically kind of died without Gary on the field. And in his 9 games that he played in the season, Gary finished with 32 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 12 quarterback hits, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. His numbers he would have had a double-digit sack season if he didn't get injured. And when he did play, he was absolutely fantastic. Again, we need him back fully healthy to have a good pass rush again because he is amazing at what he does. I'm giving him a grade of a B plus for what he was able to do during his time in the season, and I'm hoping for a nice, clean recovery for Rashawn heading into next season. The 5th round rookie out of South Carolina was thrust into the starting role as an edge rusher after their season-ending injury to Rashawn Gary. And Kingsley performed admirably for a rookie that wasn't really expected to be a starter when he was drafted. He was a decent pass rusher and was a pretty solid run defender as well, finishing the season with 31 total tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, and 3 deflections. And when Gary does return from injury next year, Kingsley will make an excellent third man in a pass rush rotation, just being a high energy, high motor guy who's going to be very solid for the team in the future. And I'm actually going to give him a pretty high grade of a B because he vastly exceeded expectations we had for him heading into the season, especially for being a 5th round rookie. So good job, Kingsley. Looking forward to see what you could do in the future. After his all-pro caliber effort in 2021, there was an expectation that Devondre Campbell would regress a little bit back to his career average in 2022, which is a pretty solid starting linebacker. And that was what happened in 2022, as it wasn't quite as dominant as he was, but still a nice solid piece for this defense who's been needing a solid guy as our middle linebacker ever since A.J. Hawk left in free agency. He did miss a couple games due to injury this year, only appearing in 13 of them. But in those 13 games, he had 96 total tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 3 pass deflections, 2 interceptions, including one that he returned for a touchdown, which was a pretty awesome moment. So again, just a nice, very solid season from Devondre, and I'm going to give him a grade of C+ to reflect that. The last of our linebackers in this video is Chris Barnes, who was pushed out of the starting lineup by rookie Quay Walker and only appeared in 6 games for the Packers, finishing with 29 total tackles and 1 sack. Very worrying for Barnes as his playing time went down as guys like Quay Walker and Isaiah McDuffie took over his playing time. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he is no longer on the Packers after this season. And I'm giving him a grade of D. The first of our safeties is Darnell Savage. And heading into the season, the Packers picked up his 5th-year option. And now it seems like they are regretting it, as Savage really struggled this year as a safety, even being moved down to a slot corner role to see if he was better there than as a safety. He was routinely being beaten in coverage, giving up a completion percentage of 68.2%, a 142-point passer rating against him, and gave up 3 touchdowns. Not the best when you are asking him to be a center fielder, patrolling the middle of the field, making sure no one gets by him. And it just didn't really work out with Savage, as again, he struggled. In terms of general counting stats, he finished with 58 total tackles, 2 of them for loss, 5 pass deflections, and an interception he returned for a touchdown against Minnesota, which was a really great moment. But overall, not a great season for Darnell, who really, really needs to show up next year, or else he might just be a backup for the rest of his career. And I'm giving him a grade of D-, as we really needed him to be stepped up. Rudy Ford was brought in from Jacksonville as a free agent as a veteran backup, but ended the year as a team starting safety. He still wasn't exactly amazing, but was better than Darnell Savage because he gave up a completion percentage of 65%, a 106.7 quarterback rating against, and 3 touchdowns, so slightly better than Darnell. And for the counting stats, he had 44 total tackles, a forced fumble recovery, and 3 interceptions, 2 of them against the Cowboys in a pretty cool moment. Overall, not necessarily a great season, but still decent for a guy who was expected to be a backup all year and get limited playing time on special teams. So I'm going to give him a grade of C-, mainly because he did kind of exceed expectations compared to his entrance. Tariq Carpenter was brought in as a 7th-round rookie out of Georgia Tech to be a gunner on special teams, and he was at that role. He only appeared in 14 games as a rookie as he missed some due to injury, and only played about 34% of special team snaps for the season. He finished with 8 total tackles, and I'm going to give him a grade of D+, mainly because, didn't really excel at the sole thing he was there for, and didn't play a single snap on defense either, with our massive issues with the safety position this season. So, again, grade of D+. And the final player that we will be discussing today is the veteran safety Adrian Amos, who was supposed to be the anchor of our secondary, being the outfielder preventing deep passes, but sadly he really regressed this year as he really struggled. He had a 70% completion rate against him, a 107.7 passer rating against, and gave up 3 touchdowns in the air. And those first 2 stats were career highs given up by Amos, which is very unnerving as he, again, was supposed to be the veteran present on this defense, being our center fielder. And in terms of counting stats, he had a relatively decent 102 total tackles this season, 7 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 5 pass deflections, and 1 interception. But again, just a disappointing year for Amos, so I'm going to give him a grade of D. So if you average out all of the scores for the linebackers, you get a grade of C+, being a good unit above average, with a bright future ahead of the guys like Gary coming back, Rashawn Gary just being fantastic, Quay Walker hopefully improving, and solid play by veterans like Devondre Campbell and Preston Smith. So that unit should be solid in the future. But the safeties, oh my God, we are in deep trouble with our safety group, as 3 of those 4 guys I just mentioned are free agents. Amos and Rudy Ford are both free agents. Darnell Savage, again, terrible season. And Tariq Carpenter is not a starting safety in NFL. So the Packers have a lot of overhaul to do in the safety room. So that's what I have for this video today. Next one will be the last one in our series of reviewing the pack, which will be the defensive backs, our cornerbacks, and our special teams players, with the overall team breakdown and grade at the very end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the content. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more, and I'll see y'all again very soon.